And now let's move to our first agenda item. It's agenda item 5, the WHO transformation and its implications for the WHO European region. The relevant document is EUR/RC69/9. The adoption of the 71st session of the World Health Assembly of the 13th General Programme of Work 2019 to 2023 is accompanied by a process of reform and transformation of the organization's operational models and culture. In the European region, this transformational builds on the work initiated by the regional director at the 16th session of the Regional Committee with her Better Health for Europe vision. So let me ask Dr. Susanna Jakob to introduce this agenda item. You have the floor, please.
Distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, I am very pleased to set the scene for this agenda item and to discuss with you what transformation has brought to this regional office since we started to work on this. You may recall that WHO reform has been on the agenda of every regional committee in the last few years, and this is the second time now that we report to you on the transformation process that is led by Dr. Tedros. This is a commitment I took already in 2011 to move forward with transformation and to adapt the regional office to the changing European environment. Improving governance, strengthening collaboration with member states and partners, as you also heard from Anne Boucher, to achieve our results for better health outcomes and more equity were the 2 out of the 7 strategic priorities that we have set for ourselves to reform and transform the regional office. We wanted to see an organization that unites and integrates the region around health and well-being, acting as a bridge between the different parts of the organization. We wanted to see an organization that promotes solidarity, equity, and health across the region. On Monday, we had an opportunity to discuss the achievements and the lessons learned from Health 2020. Indeed, the development of the European health policy was another strategic priority that was identified by the Better Health for Europe change process. After the coffee break, we will also discuss how this office has been strengthened and how it strengthened its presence and impact in the countries and will continue to do so in the coming years. And again, the work has been a central pillar of our work, along with our continued efforts to make the organization a positive working environment for our staff. This resulted, for example, in the regional Respectful Workplace Initiative, the promotion of a stronger dialogue with the Staff Association, and the first steps towards an open door policy. Therefore, you will not be surprised to hear that when the World Health Assembly adopted the 13th General Programme of Work and our Director General launched a process to transform WHO to fulfill its ambitious mission to achieve the triple billion target of keeping the world safe, improving health, and serving the vulnerable, I was very pleased that the European region was ready to fully embrace and actively contribute to this global process, leveraging on the strong foundations that was provided by the Better Health for Europe. I am very grateful to the member states who, through their guidance throughout the Regional Committee and the Standing Committee, fully supported the change process over the past decade. This prepared the European region to hit the ground running in implementing the 13th General Programme of Work. In fact, several of the organizational and operating models tested in the region are now contributing to the transformation process at the global level, and they are considered by other regions as good examples of good practice. Our bottom-up approach to the development of biennial collaborative agreements, the establishment of channels such as the network of the national counterparts or multilateral and multisectoral platforms for the engagement of countries at national and subnational levels of government, including the Small Countries Initiative, the Southeastern European Health Network, the Regions for Health Network, the strengthening of the Healthy Cities Network, as well as the specialized technical support provided by our geographically dispersed offices and outposted offices, are all good examples of initiatives that this region can build upon in an effort to drive public health in every country, and several of these are picked up by the other regions and also WHO globally. As regional director, I have had the opportunity of contributing to the global transformation process through the Global Policy Group. As Deputy Director General, I now have the honor of supporting the Director General in implementing the transformation and also in helping him to reach the ambitious triple billion targets. I am now ready and happy to establish a strong collaboration with my successor as Regional Director, who will lead the regional engagement in this process. As you know, the GPW13 and the WHO transformation process is fully aligned with the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and also the decisions on the United Nations Development System reform. The WHO transformation implies a commitment to coherence and unity of action across the United Nations system. In the next session, when we discuss the country work, we will reflect more on the links to the UN reform and its implications on WHO at the inter-country and the country level. The transformation agenda is also focused on fully aligning the organization and its ways of working at three levels: headquarters, regional offices, and country offices, with the aim to achieve our target of the triple billion in all the countries that we serve. To attain this objective, we have undertaken several important steps. We have mobilized our staff to identify a common set of values that should underpin our work and organizational culture, launching the so-called Value Jam, which has resulted in the first ever WHO Values Charter, and to increase the sense of ownership and awareness of how individual performance contributes to the fulfillment of the WHO mission, we have also requested all staff to explicitly link their regular work performance appraisals to deliverables under the 13th General Programme of Work. Our regional staff, WHO representatives, and heads of country offices are fully contributing to this process through their participation in the task forces and working groups that were established to this effect. A major milestone in this work has been the announcement on the 18th of March of our new operating model. This aims, on the one side, of breaking the silos to ensure a seamless delivery across headquarters and the regional offices and country offices by aligning the operating model across the 3 levels of the organization. On the other side, it aims at remodeling the structure of WHO to align it to the 3 strategic priorities of GPW 13. The European Regional Office has already aligned the structure at the level of pillars while keeping the regional specificities, and I am sure that the new regional director will take a fresh look at it again as soon as he takes up his job. Some recommendations from the previous team will go forward to him on this. We are also adapting new and agile ways of working to be able to respond more rapidly, flexibly, and efficiently to the changing needs of the member states. Integration of the work is also moving forward, and we are in the process to align ourselves vertically and horizontally around the billions, around the outcomes, and around the outputs of the program budget by setting up networks, while we also strengthen the technical networks across the 3 levels. We have gone quite a long way on this, and this work will be completed in the coming weeks as we move forward with the operational planning to translate the program budget 2021 that was approved by the World Health Assembly into internal operational work plans. Another major milestone is that we have also clarified the functions in the new operating model. The regional offices will lead technical cooperation activities, while headquarters will lead the organization's normative work and provide backstopping in those technical areas where the country offices and regional offices lack dedicated resources and where the specialized services exist only in headquarters. As part of the program budget implementation and the operating model for the next biennium, 2 very significant and historic developments were conducted for the first time in WHO in the last couple of months, and they have just come to an end. The first one is the list of global public health goods, which has been developed and agreed for the next biennium, reflecting the needs of global health and also the needs of member states. These will form an important element of our work plans in moving forward with a strict quality control mechanism that is led by the chief scientist and will then be translated into impact at the country level as a next step. Now what we are doing is also to align the regional public goods with the global list to avoid duplication and overlapping. The second important development is that we plan the technical cooperation with the countries from the 3 levels of the organization based on the priorities of the country support plans that have been developed by the countries in collaboration with country offices, regional offices. This process is led by the regions who identify the needs from headquarters based on the capacity that is available at the country and the regional offices. We then organize so-called strategic regional days to discuss the needs and agree on the role of headquarters technical departments. We completed this exercise for 5 out of the 6 regions, and 1 region is still to come. This kind of 3-level strategic engagement takes place for the first time, and it is exciting to see the support and enthusiasm across the organization. These 2 processes will constitute 2 important elements of the global operational work plans for the next biennium, alongside with the third element, which is about the global leadership function. To facilitate the engagement of our region in the transformation, I have decided to appoint the director of the Division of Non-Communicable Diseases and Promoting Health through the Life course, Bente Mikkelsen, who is sitting here with us, to lead the regional transformation process. And I would like to thank her for the excellent work over the last year. Thank you, Bente. Following the decision of the Director General at headquarters, we are also at a critical stage where the role of the business owners, the so-called senior management, the executive management, and all staff has to be strengthened by taking the leadership for the transformation process. So the leadership is moving from the transformation team to the senior management of the organization. And this is also in an effort to ensure ownership and implementation and integrate the transformation work into every aspect of our work. With respect to the implementation of the 13th General Program of Work and the program budget 2020-21, I am pleased to report that the regional office has engaged in a bottom-up planning exercise, placing countries at the center. We did this by engaging the governing bodies of the region on the topic and maintaining a very close dialogue with the countries, regardless of the presence of the WHO office, country office. In turn, this will ensure the continued relevance of WHO's work to countries' priorities. We are also working very hard to ensure a predictable WHO country presence and common core WHO country office structure driven by the needs and the maturity of health systems in the countries. We will discuss this more in details at the next session. I am also very pleased to report that the regional office has already aligned several of its processes with the global operating model in some areas like planning or communication. Our staff is also actively contributing to the redesigning of managerial processes such as recruitment, supply chain, and performance management. They are also engaged in the reform of those technical processes that are part of the core business of the organization, such as the process for development of norms and standards, the conduct of research, the provision of data, and the strategic policy dialogues, which has been used quite extensively in the European region. And this is an area where headquarters can really benefit from the regional experience. A very important aspect of the ongoing work relates to the development of a shared organizational culture to guide the mindsets and behavior of all staff across the organization, regardless of location and seniority. I have already referred to the adoption of the first ever WHO Values Charter. Our journey to transforming the culture of the European Regional Office, the country offices, and the outposted offices, GDOs, is informed by the findings of the WHO-wide culture survey that was conducted in October 2017, the recommendations of the Respectful Workplace Initiative, the results of the United Nations Perceived Sexual Harassment Survey. WHO Values Charter and Actions. The overall process to develop the WHO Europe Culture Change Action Plan will be customized by each team and office, so every team is fit for purpose, including several opportunities to give input, bottom-up and top-down. We aim to complete this process by the end of 2019 by linking culture change actions with staff appraisals. and I'm very pleased that the Staff Association has expressed support for the transformation efforts, and that so many colleagues have made themselves available to contribute to the many lines of the transformation work on top and above their duties. This is a strong sign of personal commitment of our staff to the values of the organization, to the general program of work, and overall to the transformation process. As leaders of the organization, we are committed to maintain this enthusiasm and sense of ownership as the most important ingredient for the successful deployment of transformation. For the 1st of January 2020, we have to be ready with many things, because that's a biennium that will start with the program budget 2021 implementation, the first program budget under GPW 13, and therefore a lot of this work has to be completed to be ready to run with the agenda of implementation. So with this, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you, Member States, for your guidance, and WHO staff who are contributing significantly to the multiple work streams of the transformation, and look very much forward to continue to work with you and with the new regional director to make this endeavor a real success for the benefit of Member States and for the benefit of achieving results at the country level, which is the main aim of this whole exercise. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Susanna. I will now ask Piroska Ostlin, Acting Regional Director, to add a few elements. Dr. Ostlin, you have the floor.
Thank you, distinguished delegates, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. As the regional director mentioned, our transformation journey has started back in 2011. I will not repeat the great achievements the regional office has accomplished throughout all these years. I will take this opportunity to update you on the progress made with the transformation process during the last 6 months, since the 6th of March, when the regional director was appointed WHO Deputy Director General, when the Director of Division on Non-Communicable Diseases and Promoting Health Through the Life course, Dr. Bente Mikkelsen, was appointed the Regional Transformation Lead, and I was appointed Acting Regional Director. On that very day, the Director General, Dr. Tedros, announced the new organigram for WHO headquarters, a new different approach aiming to reduce working in silos and follow the 3 strategic priorities of the Global Program of Work 13. Under this new organizational structure, the regional offices will lead technical cooperation activities, while headquarters will lead the organization's normative work. You have already heard from the regional director that the European region is already broadly aligned to the new organigram of WHO headquarters, and that the new regional director, Dr. Kluge, will take this process forward. Within the 5 work stream of the transformation process, the European Regional Office has focused on transforming the way we work through the program budget process, implementing the new operating model, and focusing on organizational and culture aspects of staff engagement. The new operating model includes a strong focus on strengthening WHO presence in countries and driving impact at country level. For this purpose, the regional office has developed a revised framework for policy dialogue, strategic support, and technical assistance to countries through the regional office, country offices, and sub-regional hubs, addressing technical as well as strategic and political needs of the region. The country support plans have been the starting point in 2 face-to-face meetings between country offices and the regional office, to define the support needed from the different levels of the organization and how to integrate the work across programs to achieve the outputs defined by the GPW 13. The second face-to-face meeting was attended also by our headquarter colleagues. In May 2019, we launched the WHO Values Charter. Staff members gave their testimonials demonstrating how through their career they exercise the values of trust, excellence, integrity, collaboration and caring for others during their daily business by working with member states, other organizations, regional offices, headquarters, and each other. The event was filled with passion and commitment. Staff proudly signed the WHO Values Charter. Over the next 5 months, each month will be dedicated to reflecting on and highlight each of these values. We are currently developing the WHO Regional Office for Europe Culture Change Plan, as we heard from Regional Director, involving all staff in all our offices, including the GDOs and country offices. The plan will include the implementation of the WHO Value Charter and will follow up on the findings of the 2017 WHO-wide Culture Survey and the 2019 recommendations of the Respectful Workplace. The plan will be finalized by the end of this year to be ready to be reflected in staff appraisals. Another strategic initiative that was initiated in March this year was the WHO Academy, which is intended to deliver training in the full range of competencies and areas of work required to support the achievement of the health-related SDGs and WHO's triple billion targets to address the social determinants of health, to strengthen health systems and services, and to ensure optimal emergency preparedness and response. The aim is to build one of the world's largest and most innovative digital learning platforms to enhance the competencies of a large number of health professionals every year. The Academy will be a powerful learning and development tool for all WHO staff and will also help to strengthen the capacity of member states to implement WHO norms and standards at country level. We are currently establishing the WHO Europe General Service Staff Task Force to support the transformation and to be sure to utilize their great skills and experiences in the organization, similar to the task force operating in headquarters. We are emphasizing involvement, engagement, timely dissemination, and information and transparency throughout the transformation process implementation to create ownership among the staff for the changes and to make the organization fit for purpose as envisioned in the Global Program of Work 13. During the last week of September 2019, we will conduct a pulse check survey to identify what is working and what is not working during the transformation to guide actions for improvement. During the first full week of October, a transformation meeting will take place where staff will have the opportunity to hear and ask questions about the UN reform, transformation at country level, transformation through the program budget 2021, and the culture and the culture change plan. For us in the regional office, the last 6 months were filled with daily achievements in the transformation process. Very recently, I gave an interview to all staff published on our internet, where I emphasized that transformation is like a puzzle. When you manage to fit all its different parts, you will have a very nice picture. One that makes sense in terms of informing and empowering our staff on what it means to be part of WHO, part of this family. the picture is now becoming clearer, especially as we continue moving forward. However, we wouldn't be able to move forward without all the bits and pieces. They all support one another, they all link to each other. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Piroska. Let me now open the floor for discussion on the document and the relevant resolution. I now ask delegates wishing to speak to raise their nameplates. I have Sweden, followed by Switzerland. Please, distinguished delegates, keep your interventions to 3 minutes so that all those wishing to speak have the opportunity to do so. Sweden, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm speaking on behalf of the Nordic and Baltic countries, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Iceland, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, and Sweden. We thank the Secretariat for the informative report. We're excited about the transformative shift brought about by the adoption of the 13th General Programme of Work, setting out new ways as working as one WHO to deliver better impact at country level. The aim of the transformation agenda is ambitious: to fully align the organization and its ways of working across its 3 levels with the GPW 13 and its triple billion targets, themselves aligned with the health-related SDGs, with the aim of leaving no one behind. It becomes clear by this report that the Regional Office for Europe is well placed to implement the reforms, and that structures have been put in place in a timely manner to carry out the transformation in close cooperation with headquarters and countries. While we commend the solid work of the Regional Office, the report gives the impression that the transformation process is being carried out without any difficulty. In the report, it is recognized that the transformation is intended to create profound organizational change, affecting the work of every staff member. Surely, profound organizational change must bring about profound challenges, and it would have been useful for the Regional Committee to have been made aware of them. This information would have put the committee in a better place to provide meaningful feedback to the Regional Office. The Nordic and Baltic states request more information about the challenges the Regional Office is facing in implementing the transformation agenda. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sweden. Switzerland, please, followed by Belgium.
Madame la directrice régionale, la Suisse vous remercie du rapport annuel sur la réforme de l'OMS et son impact sur les travaux de la région européenne. La Suisse œuvre depuis des années pour une ONU forte et efficace et une gouvernance optimale de l'OMS. Pour nous, cela implique l'alignement temporel de son programme général de travail sur le cycle de planification des autres organisations onusiennes dès 2026, une intégration optimale de son cycle budgétaire à la définition du programme général de travail, son entière participation au système de coordinateurs résidents, l'harmonisation de ses instruments stratégiques avec les pays, notamment les stratégies de coopération et les accords biennaux de collaboration, et leur alignement sur le plan cadre des Nations Unies pour le développement, son regroupement physique avec les autres entités onusiennes présentes dans les pays par des locaux et services administratifs communs, et enfin, un meilleur alignement entre ces 3 niveaux. Le rôle de l'OMS Europe est central pour effectivement mettre en œuvre ces différents éléments. Nous saluons ainsi la démarche de diriger le processus régional de transformation avec l'appui d'une équipe intersectorielle et travaillant étroitement avec l'équipe de transformation mondiale. L'implication de l'équipe de direction et du personnel de tous les bureaux est, à nos yeux, primordiale pour mener à bien le projet de changement organisationnel. Nous sommes également satisfaits de constater que le bureau régional a déjà été fonctionnellement aligné sur la nouvelle structure organisationnelle du siège de l'OMS. Cette adaptation permettra d'avoir un meilleur impact au niveau des pays et d'améliorer l'efficacité de l'organisation. Alors que l'application de la Charte des valeurs de l'OMS en vue de promouvoir un changement de culture est une excellente initiative, La Suisse saisit l'occasion de rappeler que le personnel du bureau régional se trouve dans de nombreux processus de transformation profonde depuis 2011. Une stabilisation de cette situation à moyen terme est donc fort souhaitable, même si la mise en place de cette gouvernance optimisée prendra encore un certain temps. Je vous remercie.
Thank you, Switzerland. Belgium, please, followed by United Kingdom.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first of all, we would like to thank the Secretariat for the very informative presentation on the transformation agenda. Now, before starting, please also note that our intervention will touch also upon agenda items related to the country work and the GDOs, as we believe they are very closely interlinked. Now, to begin with, first of all, we very much welcome this debate to bring more clarity on the impact of the transformation on our region, as we believe this potential impact can be quite large. So it's an important item to discuss. First question we have regards the ambition of the DG to centralize the normative work at the level of headquarters in Geneva. This is an ambition which we appreciate, and it makes sense. Nevertheless, we would like to better understand its implications of this ambition on the normative activities at regional level in Europe. Does the centralization means, for example, that these normative activities will cease to exist at European level or not, or will they be done in a different way? So more clarity would be helpful in this regard. Now, also with regard to the normative function, and this is a comment on the sideline, we also would like to mention that it would be useful to take into account how WHO communicates on its presentation of new norms and standards. And we believe this should also be put under scrutiny. As it would be interesting to be better informed beforehand if WHO intends to present new norms and standards. For example, on the recent publication on microplastics, we took a bit off guard. Then, as a second question, relates to the strengthening of country work. We see this as a real challenge. Most of all because our region is, in our view, underfunded. It has 53 member states, but receives only 6% of the global budget, which is not much. Moreover, not all member states in our region have country offices, and this makes it difficult, in our view, to simply translate the ambition to strengthen country work into the idea of strengthening country offices. So we believe, in this regard, we believe that country supports directly from the regional office towards countries is the best way forward. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, Belgium. United Kingdom, followed by Germany.
Thank you. WHO transformation continues to be a priority area for the UK, and we welcome the Regional Director's leadership and the Regional Office's full engagement with global WHO reform process. The development of forward-looking initiatives within the region have made a positive contribution globally, and the member states of this region have been key players in driving governance reform initiatives. Member states have an important role in reform. That is why we pay close attention to developments within the WHO, our organisation, and why we urge transparency in the process to enable us to play our part. We would echo the calls made by Sweden in their statement on how helpful it would be to have more information on the challenges and obstacles that you're facing as well. We are pleased to see a focus in the document and in the presentations made by Dr. Jakob and Ostlin on culture change and staff engagement activity at the regional level, and we would be particularly interested in hearing more and continuing to hear about these initiatives and their success and the impact they're having. We often emphasise the importance of WHO staff during these meetings as the biggest asset that the organisation has. And therefore, as the Staff Association representative rightly said to the SCRC, staff should be involved and consulted throughout the transformation process. We welcome the reassurances given that staff have had the opportunity to input into decisions that affect them, and we hope this continues throughout the rest of the implementation process. It is vital that this transformation is delivered together, and we will continue to stress the importance of transparency and engagement, both with staff and with member states of this organisation as you continue. Thank you.
Thank you, United Kingdom. Germany, please, followed by Austria.
Thank you, Chair, and I will talk in German. Als allererstes wollen wir dem Sekretariat für den Bericht danken. Er zeigt, dass unsere Region die Transformation der WHO mit vollem Engagement und Enthusiasmus begleitet, was wir sehr begrüßen. Die Reform der WHO im Sinne einer nachhaltigen Stärkung bleibt zentrales Ziel für Deutschland. Das geht auch einher, oder unser gestiegenes finanzielles Engagement betreiben wir auch, um diese Stärkung zu erreichen. Wir wollen eine WHO, die ihrem Mandat vollumfänglich gerecht wird und von anderen Akteuren aufgrund ihrer Expertise, Integrität, Legitimität und Performance als leitende und koordinierende Instanz der globalen Gesundheit akzeptiert wird. Das setzt eine interne Prioritätensetzung mit einem Fokus auf den komparativen Mehrwert der WHO in Bezug auf andere voraus. Und wir glauben, dass gerade in dieser Hinsicht noch viel Arbeit vor uns liegt. Wir begrüßen die vielen eingeleiteten Schritte, insbesondere die Standardisierung des Operating Models. Wir sind uns sicher, uns ist aber sehr, sehr wichtig, dass wir keine Transformation zum Zwecke der Transformation betreiben. Nachdem die WHO nunmehr seit mehr als 1,5 Jahren durchgeschüttelt worden ist, brauchen wir Klarheit über robuste Strukturen, Zeitpläne und das, was am Ende erzielt werden soll, nämlich bessere Resultate. Das ist wichtig für uns Mitgliedstaaten, aber genauso wichtig für die Mitarbeiterinnen und Mitarbeiter der WHO, die von der Reform und Transformation betroffen sind. Wir begrüßen, dass die Reform einhergeht mit der weiteren UN-Reform und sind uns sicher, dass das eine große Chance für die WHO ist, auch für unsere Region. In Bezug auf unsere Region sehen wir es als sehr, sehr gutes Signal, dass unsere Region Vorreiter ist bei der Umsetzung der globalen Reform. Es wird sehr klar, dass die Vereinheitlichung des WHO-Betriebsmodells kein Nullsummenspiel ist, sondern für unsere Region mit weitreichenden finanziellen Herausforderungen einhergeht, gerade in Bezug auf das Upgrading der Länderbüros, was hier schon mehrmals angesprochen wurde und sicherlich in der nächsten Session auch nochmal angesprochen wird. Diese besondere Herausforderung unserer Region muss angemessen von der Genfer Zentrale abgefedert werden. Wir sind uns aber sicher, dass wir unsere Interessen dieser Region bestens in Genf mit unserer DDG vertreten können. Herzlichen Dank.
Thank you very much. Austria, please, followed by Russian Federation.
Danke vielmals für diesen Bericht des Regionalbüros. Ich glaube, wir können alle miteinander festhalten, dass es gut ist, dass die Regionaldirektorin den Umgestaltungsprozess der europäischen Region so früh begonnen hat und der sozusagen auch zum Best-Practice-Beispiel für den globalen Transformationsprozess geworden ist. Danke dafür. Das ist auch wichtig und gut so und wir fühlen uns wahrscheinlich alle wohl, dass Susanna Jakob diesen Prozess auch auf der globalen Ebene leitet. Ich möchte hier ganz kurz sein und möchte mich letztlich auch den inhaltlichen Ausführungen unseres deutschen Kollegen anschließen. Wir dürfen bei all diesem Transformationsprozess nicht vergessen, dass es eine Geschichte ist, die nur wegen der Transformation stattfindet, sondern es geht um Inhalte. Und gestatten Sie mir die kritische Bemerkung. Ich habe heute in der Früh leider nicht deutlich gehört, wie dieser Transformationsprozess mit den dringenden Notwendigkeiten in unserem öffentlichen Gesundheitssystemen tatsächlich verbunden ist. Da fehlt ein bisschen das Narrativ und die Geschichte dazu. Ich bin überzeugt, dass es vorhanden ist, aber wir müssen auch darüber reden. Unsere öffentlichen Gesundheitssysteme in der Region, egal auf welchem Niveau, stehen alle unter einem großen Druck. Und dieser Druck muss sich letztlich auch in der Transformation der WHO-Organisation widerspiegeln. Ich muss das nicht sagen, was das ist. Das sind die hohen Kosten der Innovation, egal ob Arzneimittel oder andere Technologien. Das ist die tiefe Krise der Primärversorgung in der gesamten Region, etc. etc. Das muss sich widerspiegeln in unseren Transformationsüberlegungen und es wäre begrüßenswert, wenn das auch irgendwo dargestellt würde, wie diese beiden Prozesse zusammenhängen. Danke vielmals.
Thank you, Austria. Russian Federation, please. If is anybody else wanting to take the floor during the speech of Russian Federation, please raise your flags.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Российская Федерация благодарит секретариат за представленный отчет и полностью поддерживает процесс преобразования организации. В докладе процесс преобразований связан с разработкой 13-й общей программы работы ВОЗ и согласованием с целями устойчивого развития глобального проекта ООН. При этом хотелось бы отметить, что необходимость подобных преобразований стала очевидна еще на предыдущем этапе работы ВОЗ, когда мы работали над достижением целей развития тысячелетия и реализацией 12-й ОПР. И в этом особенно была важна роль регионального директора с ее богатым опытом работы со странами, осведомленности о примерах успешного функционирования систем охраны общественного здоровья и приверженностью принципам работы с фокусом на нужды стран. Также присоединяемся к прозвучавшим выступлениям о необходимости проработки потенциальных рисков текущих преобразований и сценариев возможного решения таких рисков, отдельно затронув вопросы обеспечения эффективности работы на страновом уровне. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. As I see nobody else asking for the floor, I give the floor to the International Federation of Medical Students Association, please.
The International Federation of Medical Students Associations, supported by the European Medical Students Association, welcomes the transformation reforms and the efforts of the Regional Office for Europe to streamline the work of WHO at all levels and deliver WHO's 13th General Programme of Work. We would like to remind that triple billion goals can't be reached without partnerships, including civil society. Even then, it is important to take into account that youth are often underrepresented in civil society organizations, and looking actively for their input is the only way to ensure their voice is heard. We applaud all efforts done so far on the regional offices level to recognize the role of youth in the official framework and ensure it is implemented not only on the regional level, but also in the work of country offices. WHO Regional Office for Europe could take the leading role in creating a strategy for youth involvement in the decision-making processes. Such a strategy would aim to empower young people and ensure their meaningful participation in health processes by including the systematic consultation on youth in the development of country cooperation strategies, support youth-led initiatives, as well as increase accessibility to international and regional WHO meetings by civil society organizations and youth. This would serve to ensure that WHO stands for health for all, by all. This regional youth engagement strategy could be a model for other regions and for WHO headquarters in recognizing young people as an equal and valued stakeholder in health. IFMSA, which represents 48 national member organizations in the European regions, is committed to support initiating this process and collaborate with partners to make it a reality. We will continue amplifying the voice of young healthcare professionals and building the capacity of youth to create their own initiatives in health and engage meaningfully with country offices, governments, and other stakeholders. However, youth engagement is a two-way street and can only be achieved with the systematic involvement of all parties.
Thank you. Dr. Jakob, would you like to respond to the comments and questions raised?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Of course, with great pleasure, and thank you for your comments and support. As you may recall, the transformation process started immediately after Dr. Tedros took office 2 years ago, but it took some time until the whole process, the transformation process, came together. And it was announced basically as a package only this year in March 2019. And it is now moving forward, but it will take time with the implementation. And the positive development recently has been that it moved to the senior management team to ensure full ownership. But as the Director General said the other day, it's a large process, a complicated process to move a big organization forward. It's like a big ship, quoting him, so it will take a bit of time until all the elements are put in place. Back to the question of Sweden. Of course, there are challenges attached to it, and maybe you have a good point that we should have highlighted it better in our paper. But I can tell you, with my both hats as RD and DDG, that the challenges are bigger in headquarters than in the regional office, because this regional office has been more advanced, using also the last couple of years of the transformation, and we were much more prepared for the major elements of the transformation when it came with Dr. Tedros. The challenges in headquarters are bigger, and in my view, and this is the view of the DG also, is that WHO will be a strong organization only if headquarters is a strong place, and we have to invest a lot into the headquarters now to make it strong, both in its role as WHO headquarters, but also in its global leadership role. And these two things have to be aligned, and we have to change the organizational culture of the colleagues in headquarters also to be able to play this double role. And as a DDG, I can tell you that I have been very much investing into leading the global public goods process, the technical cooperation with all the regions, together with IMRE, the planning process, developing planning for headquarters, which has never been done before, developing the next 2 years human resource plan for headquarters, which has never been done before. These all were done in the regions, but it was not in headquarters. So a lot of challenges come with this work in WHO headquarters, and we are moving very actively forward to fill the gaps where they exist. Another very important element of the transformation is the integrated process. We will not be able to implement neither the SDGs nor the GPW unless we go for integrated processes and move away from these silos. So that's why in the program budget you have the triple billions, you have the outcomes and outputs, which bring several entities together. And around these entities we have to develop beyond the usual traditional structure. We have to develop the outcome and output networks, which is what we are putting in place now to make the horizontal links, but also to make the three-level alignment across the organization. Also, the impact framework that Samira was informing you yesterday about as part of the program budget, we always had it here in the region. That was the accountability for Health 2020 with the targets and indicators, the same thing. So that's why I think the challenges here are less, it's more global, but we have to make sure that these challenges are met. And we are working very much on this. In Euro, I was also very impressed in the last couple of months when we started the operational planning for the next few months and we had the regional day for the European region, how quickly this region organized itself around the triple billions, around the outcomes and the outputs, and there are leads for all these networks already in place. And the biggest challenge actually that I see in this whole transformation will be the three levels alignment. And again, this has to be promoted very strongly in headquarters because there is very limited knowledge among the staff on the countries and on the regions, and also much more interest to continue to work vertically and in a silo more than to reach out horizontally and vertically. So the cultural change has to come with it in WHO headquarters, and this is where we need to invest. But I'm absolutely optimistic that we need about 1 or 2 years with strong leadership, and you have seen that Dr. Tedros is a very strong leader. He knows what he wants to achieve, and full support from the senior management team. We are all behind him, and we will make it work. So I just wanted to give you this reassurance. But you are right that yes, challenges do exist, and next time we promise you to elaborate more on the challenges in the paper. Back to the question of the normative work that was raised by Belgium. The leadership for the global public goods is in Geneva, in headquarters. But there will always be regional public health goods. And these two have to be aligned. Now the two processes were a little bit separate, I must say. Next time around we have to be much more integrated, one process for global and regional. Now we had one process for global, one for regional. The global process was very heavy, I can tell you. It went on for a year. Now it is completed. We have 326 global public goods. And you are right that we have to think about the communication around it. And now we come to the next stage where we align the regional public goods with the global one. We don't want to put a heavy process in place because this all have to feed into the operational work plans. But as I said, next time it will be a much more integrated process. And we have also built some flexibility into this process to make sure that if there are new priorities, new emerging needs coming either from new member states or governing bodies, then we can accommodate this. So we have a process internally on how to take new initiatives on board. But back to your question, Belgium, the regions will also continue to have normative work to do, but the leadership will be in headquarters, leadership and coordination and the alignment of the processes and the methodology to have one unified process. Like the technical cooperation is led by the regions, but the headquarters will also have input into that. So it's not either or, but both together. Leadership is specified, and I have to emphasize that. Also, the question about the funding of the European region, I think I already alluded to that yesterday on the program budget discussion, that the funding of the European region is extremely low, and this needs to be increased as we move forward because the number of member states is huge, 53 countries, biggest region, lowest funding, and although it kept increasing over the years, but it is still not enough, and especially if you look at the needs of the region, it needs to be improved. The country offices have been a little bit strengthened in the European region. We made the heads of country offices international. We put a little bit more international staff into the country offices, but still not enough, so that needs to be increased. But taking the specificities of the region into consideration, we will always have this combined approach, the Euro-specific business model, that a lot of the technical work in the countries where we don't have country offices will have to come from the regional office or from the geographically dispersed offices or outposted offices, let's use this word rather. And I have to underline the fact that this region could not have been able to provide the support it was required to give to the countries if we did not have the geographically dispersed offices. That brought us additional capacity, and we are ever so grateful to those member states who have hosted these offices. This gave us sustainable funding and sustainable technical capacity to provide support to the whole region, but at the same time also to provide support to WHO globally in developing the global public health goods, and we will discuss that later on when we come to the GDOs. But moving on with the funding issue, I think that you, with your other hat, with your global hat, you will have to continue the discussion in the global governing bodies to increase the funding for the European region, also as part of the flexible funding. And there are some excellent examples where countries provide core voluntary contributions to WHO, and they make a division that this part should go for global activities, this part should go to the region-specific activities. I consider this as an excellent example, and I'd like to thank to those countries who are doing it, because that brings really very important possibility and financial possibility to the region to deliver on the good work. So maybe at one of the informal meetings we can discuss that a bit more, how to move that forward. You are right. I mean, you raised many other issues. I don't want to spend too much of the time, but you are right that we have to measure the progress towards the targets that we have set for ourselves in the reform. I think that is an inbuilt process, and we are doing that. And I can assure you that I will do everything I can to back up the DG on this, and also to report back regularly to the governing bodies on progress made. I can see that with these global processes that, like the global public goods, like the regional days, we have already made a significant process forward, and they have to continue. And this will also contribute to changing the culture of the colleagues across the organization to make it a one WHO. And I think the biggest challenge for this whole transformation will be to have the three-level alignment in place as we want to see it, and not only at the level of lip service, but in practice also, as a day-to-day operational practice, and the fact that we are putting in place again and again the so-called expert networks and also the outcome-output networks and make them operational, I strongly believe that will help us. But thank you, Germany, for raising our attention to the measurement of progress, and we will keep it in mind, and obviously we will report back to the governing bodies at regular intervals on this progress. On the UN reform, I don't dwell on that now because that will come up in the next session. The last point I wanted to reflect on is what Austria and Clemens Auer has raised. You are absolutely right that there are pressing needs in the public health systems in the countries, and the narrative is lacking. Well, the narrative is in a way there in the GPW, but now that we are operationalizing the GPW, the narrative has to be further explained. And as we are developing now the vision for the third strategic priority, the healthy population cluster, this is a good time to bring in this narrative, and also to see what are the priorities beyond the multi-determinant and intersectoral approaches beyond health literacy and health promotion that we have to bring in. And here again, the first cluster, the universal health coverage cluster, and the 1 billion there, and the healthy population cluster, the two have to be very fully aligned, because primary health care and this whole healthy populations with prevention and health promotion, it has to be an integrated approach. And this is what we need to promote. And being responsible for the first billion and the third billion out of the 3 billions, that will give a good opportunity to further develop the strategic thinking around this. Thank you. Thank you from me.
Thank you very much, Susan. I think that Dr. Jakab has completely answered, but if there is a very, very short intervention from Bende or Piroska, please.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to add one small comment, and that is I'm very happy that so many of the member states are emphasizing staff as an asset. So I think the way we are doing it now, with the cultural chain going hand in hand with how we transform through the program budget, it is one of the sort of reassuring activities that can help us to really help staff to transform, because you're totally right. I think both Sweden and many of the other countries said that it is a real transformation this time. There is no doubt, and I think that our staff is really feeling this heavily. So if I could add one more input from all the discussion we have had among staff so far, is that learning and development activities and also managerial training is one of the big gaps. In the Afro region, we are now testing as a global organization a managerial program, and I think this is one of the places where we really have to put some resources to be able to not only initiate but also sustain this transformation. Thank you.